2, 3. Yeah. It was good. We did it. It was exactly the same.
I think it was perfect. Zoom. I think it was spot on.
Zoom is the problem, not us.
Totally.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. My name is Angelica Zadak, and I am with the wonderful Tonya Collins. Hi, Tonya. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks.
Great. I am so happy you're here. I'm so excited. Tonya and I met taking a class together for sketch, and she is an incredible writer. I was laughing so hard. Even though it was quiet, I'm sure she saw my face, like crying on the other end of the screen. And so Tonya, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Tonya, as you already mentioned, of course. I currently live in New York. I am originally from Big Spring, Texas, which is a teeny tiny town in West Texas. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of it. And if you have, then it's probably problematic because we have a prison and that would be the reason why you've heard of it. So yeah, very small. I moved to New York about 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And I started doing comedy about 5 years ago, I think. Yeah. So for half the time that I was here, it was basically just like trying to figure out how to pay rent. So I didn't really have time to, necessarily be funny, except for, to try to be funny. The fact that like I couldn't pay rent. So then, try to learn how to pay rent, and then finally went into comedy. So I've taken some improv classes as well as some sketch writing classes. Met you through my most recent sketch writing class, which was lovely and fantastic. I think that it was a really good mix of people. And of course I met you, which was awesome. And you're hilarious and quite funny. So
you're hilarious and quite funny as well.
Thanks.
And so what got you into comedy? How did it get started, or how did you know you wanted to write?
So I think that I initially thought that comedy was amazing whenever I first watched Saturday Night Live. That was kind of, I think that I had watched things before, but Saturday Night Live was the one thing that I feel like I connected to the most. And it was something that I felt like, maybe I could do that. But then at the same time, still living in my very small town in Texas, was also like, that I can never do that. Like I could never do that. It also, which sadly SNL still has this issue. Like I think it was also not really necessarily seeing someone that looked like me, except for like maybe the guest host every so often. I was basically like, that clearly I could not do that. That doesn't work or anything like that. And then I kind of fell into it. Ironically, whenever I moved here, I took an improv class because I have this thing where for some reason people constantly talk to me at random, which is weird. I don't understand it.
But wait, what do you mean that they talk to you at random?
So like I, for example, could be like on a train, just running my business, like riding the train, and someone will walk over and be like, so such and such happened yesterday. And I'm like, I don't know you.
Why me?
Why are you talking to me? I'm so confused on what's happening. I don't know you, but at the same time, I'm so intrigued. I must continue to engage in this conversation. so that like happens every so often. And the one that comes out in my mind the most, and the reason why I took improv is I went to see To Kill a Mockingbird and the play on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
My friend and I are having a conversation. And so the gentleman who's sitting next to me immediately like jumps into the conversation, like if I had opened the floor to everyone to speak. So jumps in the conversation, starts talking, and it became a little contentious in the sense of what he was talking about and like what we were talking about. Whereas we were kind of like on the same team, my friend and I, and he was the opposing team, I guess, so to speak. And it just was very weird. And so as he was talking, he mentioned something. I feel like it was very good, and I was doing my best to like debate, and it was great. And then he said something that I just kind of got stopped in my tracks and was like, what should I say here? And then the curtain went up, and so like there was no time to say anything else. Yes, it was horrible.
Oh.
And then like we laughed, and I think like a few days later, I was still thinking about it and was like, oh, I should have said that. And then I was like, shit, why did I not think about that in the moment? Like, why could I not think? I mean, granted, the curtain was going up, but like I could have gotten that last jab before like the first actor came on stage. Yeah. I could have totally got that in. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to take improv. Like one of the things about improv is trying to make you quick on your feet, make you think of like the next steps before like the step arrives. And so I thought maybe that would help me to like, as opposed to coming up with ideas a week later, I could come up with like something in the moment. And so like, I just kind of started doing that and then realized, oh, like, I really kind of like this. And then as I got into that, was like, you know what? I think that I would like to go back to the original idea of possibly like being a writer and maybe writing for like John Oliver or writing for SNL or, you know, like doing something like that. Maybe I wouldn't be like the actor in the sketch, but like to be the writer would be really, really cool. And I'd really like that. So yeah, that's basically kind of how I got in it.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. Who would have thought you go to, you know, a show and there's a trial that happens in the show? Like, I don't have to put on a trial. Of course, I'm just watching. My gosh.
It was so crazy. And then like intermission happened and I was still thinking about it. And like, then his wife sat next to me. So we couldn't like continue to talk because I was just like, oh, I don't have a response anyway. So it's fine. Just felt like so defeated.
You got it. You look, it's the pinnacle. Now you're like super. Yeah. When you see him again, it's going to be like, hey, no, I have the answer now.
I'm constantly like looking at people and like stopping them on the street and being like, is it you? No. You? Oh, okay.
People with hats, just tearing off their hats, slapping off their sunglasses.
I have the answer. I feel like if I ever pass him again, I'm literally just going to say the answer, the response, and just walk away. We're done. That's it. It's officially over.
What is your favorite memory? Like now that you're on this path of writing, doing comedy, taking these classes, what's been one of your favorite memories or one of the things that you've taken away from, you know, doing it?
So that's a great question. And I think the one thing that I have taken away is actually not a comedy part. When I started improv, I had this really, really great teacher named Hitch. And the class was 6:30 a class, I think, but like I would leave work and get there. And so it was kind of a later class. But what we would do is basically, as we got there in the very beginning, everybody sit in a circle. We kind of all just vented for the moment. Like, what happened today? Like, how are you feeling today? What's going on? And like, it was so nice to just like have this moment of vent and be like, all right, that's done. Let's like get into this. Like, we're doing our thing now. And I feel like it was such a good release in the sense that I wasn't bringing in the rest of the day of like whatever happened throughout the day into like this very creative space that you kind of need like not only like creativity, but like you kind of need like an open mind. And whenever things are in the back of your head, you don't have that space to think of like creative things. But now that we've already let it go and it's done, then yeah, let's play. Let's get in this. Let's do this. So I think that's something that I've definitely taken away in this whole experience is just, there's a lot of shit that's going on. There's a lot that's happening, whatever that may be, but just let that go. Let that go. And then come in here with an absolute open mind, being ready to just like have a really good time, and it works, you know, like her class was my absolute favorite. I think we had such great chemistry. And I think part of that was because we were all able to just let go in the very beginning and just go.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge part of, you know, like getting into that creative space. And it's so cool. I've known people who are like, tell me about your day, but to have that purpose, that's so cool.
Yeah.
To, you know, get it out.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I think there was also really it was great because it was like a little mini therapy session, you know,
Yeah.
because it's usually always about work. I mean, you're just leaving work, so it's usually about work and what happened at work. And I mean, we're all working adults in the class, so everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, that happened to me, like don't worry about it, this, you know. So it was also really, it was really like self-assuring that it wasn't just like, this is just happening to me. It's like, no, this happened to like, this happened to me too. It totally sucked. And so yeah, it was very validating, and it was just really good. It was nice. So now whenever I think I start out any of my classes, or even like as I start to write my sketches, it's always just like, okay, let's come to the table. Whatever happens. Let me like sit and stare at my fish tank while I listen to Nora Jones for a moment, and then I'll get to my sketch. Let's just let this go for a minute, you know.
Awesome. Yeah. That's like the greatest, and great advice too. And if you were to give advice to someone, this is something that, you know, someone gave to you and it was super helpful for you. And I think it's great advice. Just let it go. Because it's hard. It's really hard to let it go because of all this stuff going on. But if something that you've learned, what would you tell someone who is starting out or thinking about starting out in improv, comedy, writing? What would you tell them?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think that I feel like, as I mentioned, or, you know, I've said before that I constantly go back and forth about going to classes and being like, do I really want to pay for this? Is this really going to be worth it? Like, just do it. If you can, like, go for it. Just see what happens. Like, the worst case is you take this one class, it ends up not being great or whatnot, and then that's it. It's over. The end. Like, now you know. So I think just I would recommend, like, if you are really thinking about this, if this is something that you're thinking you're interested in or possibly interested in, I would just go for it. Just do it and see what happens. I mean, there's really no bad thing that can result of just trying it out. You know, that's my best advice.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Just do it.
Yeah. Very Nike of me.
Nike. Nike did not sponsor this episode. Talk about it Tuesday. But that is such great advice because so many people are just scared to get up and do it. I've seen it so much. And, you know, to hear it from your mouth is awesome because you've been successful in the classes, and you've told me some stories about things working out, things not working out. But like continuing that journey and working hard at it, I think you're a great writer, and I think you're very funny. So obviously it pays off. So that's
thanks. I appreciate that. I think that it's also, it was really nice to take improv that first time because I got the wonderful experience with Hutch, and I also got to meet some really cool people that I kept in touch with. But then it also helped me gear like toward where I want to go, like to open up about, oh, I want to continue this, or, you know, I maybe want to go into acting, or I do want to go into writing. What kind of writing? I think that it just helped to also help me figure out what I really wanted to do and where I wanted to go.
What am I doing here? Why am I doing it? Yeah, figuring out that.
What's the purpose? What's the point? Like, what's going on? What's the plan?
And talking about plans, what are you doing now? Like, what are you currently involved with? Do you have anything coming up that you're working on? What's going on in your world?
Right. So I am currently enrolled in a class for Second City, which is late night and TV writing, with hopefully a goal of sending a package to John Oliver, which would be awesome. And then I'm also possibly starting a podcast. What I'm going to do called This is 40 or Fuck 40. Just kind of about, I guess, more recently, I think that we live in a world where instant gratification happens, and more so like you become an influencer at 20 and now you're like a millionaire, and, you know, and in reality, there's a lot more people that are still 38, 39, 40, 45 who are like, what am I doing? What's happening? what's the plan here? Like, what am I doing? What's going on?
Mhm.
And I think that's the more, that's actually reality more than like the multi-million-dollar 19-year-old influencer. Like that's
Mhm.
cute and that does happen, but I hate to say that's not going to happen for the majority of us. So, most of us will still be like that person that's like, what am I doing? Or like, where am I going? Or what's the game plan? Like, where should I be going? And so I kind of, after talking like some of my friends, who some of them are older than me and some of them are the same age as me. And I think that we're all kind of like, yeah, we have these careers or we have these jobs or we're doing something, but like, this really isn't it. Like, what's the plan? Like, what am I going to do forever? Like, what's the goal? And so I think just having someone say that as opposed to constantly looking at like beautiful people on Instagram, it's refreshing. So I thought
Yeah.
that'd be really great to have like a podcast about what's real life. Like, this is real. I did not work out today, and yes, I ate pizza, and that's cool too. It happens.
Oh, I love this concept because exactly what you said is totally right. It's like, it feels like people younger and younger are starting to like be established in the influencer thing. And it makes you feel like, where did I go wrong? What did I mess up in my life? But that's how everyone is.
Where were the crossroads where I just like took the wrong turn? Where was that? So I could just know. Like, what happened? I'm so confused.
So I think that's awesome. And to hear someone else like going through the same struggle, perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think we just don't have a grasp on like reality. And it's also really crushing to know, whenever you turn 22 and you're still like maybe in college or working or figuring out what you're going to do. I think it's nicer to know like you are not the only person that's in that situation. I assure you, we've all kind of been in that situation. Like, it's, counting down to, I'm going to be a famous actor at 18, and then you turn 19 or like, my life is over. Actually, no, it's not. It's really not. You're fine. I assure you, you're totally fine. It's cool.
I love it. I absolutely love this. When you release it, I want to know. I'm going to listen to this at midnight when I'm finished with my work. I'm just gonna like, yeah, thanks. She understands. This is so cool.
You will be my first person on my list that I will send it to.
Thank you. I need this podcast. For everyone that's watching on our Instagram, we can show this podcast when it's released too. So you're all up to date. So this is not like a cliffhanger, that it's up and you see the name. So you can listen to and get like some catharsis from your life. You're not the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, you are not alone. Maybe I should change it to like, you're not alone.
You're not.
Although I feel like that's a little more self-help, and I assure you, I'm probably not going to be doing much self-helping more than I am just like ranting about like life.
I mean, that helps too. maybe they'll just rant with you. I'll rant with you, but alone in the dark with my popcorn. Speaking of the podcast too, I'm assuming that you'll put it on your Instagram or on your social media. Where can people find you? Do you want to be found?
No, that that FBI hiding.
Yeah. I know it's tough. Yeah.
So I sometimes I'm on Twitter. Every so often I'll get into a fight with someone and then stop checking it for like a couple days, just because. So I have that like I don't care vibe. But you can definitely find me on Twitter or on Instagram. I am on Instagram as Tonya Call, and yeah, feel free to check me out.
Awesome. And is your Twitter the same?
It is. Yes, I'm so original.
You are. No one else is there with that name.
I have to pick things that I can remember.
It makes it easier for people to find. You're the only one.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, you're the only one. Well, okay. We're almost done with the interview, but there is one thing. It's the taco questionnaire portion of the interview. Woo, 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 yeah. All right. So I have a couple questions about tacos that you need to answer. You know, they're going to be tough questions, but let's work our way up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. For a taco, would you prefer hard shell or soft shell?
Oh my God, hard shell. Are you kidding?
Hard shell. Okay. Hard shell. Okay. You're a hard shell person. All right. Now, if you were to have the option, would you prefer a mild spicy taco, a medium spicy taco, or the ultra spicy taco?
Ooh, that's a tough one. If I'm feeling torturous, I would go probably with the ultra spicy.
Mhm.
If I'm feeling like probably every other day, then I would go with the medium.
Okay. All right. Cool. Give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Okay. Break. All right. Here is the ultra question of the interview. Now, tacos can be put in a number of shells, right? No shell is, you know, the same as another. Each one is unique. My question for you is, would you prefer to have a taco encased in a pancake shell or a waffle shell?
Ooh.
And why?
I would have to go waffle. Something about the ridges makes me feel like it would tighten with the sauce. Usually I feel like whenever you put the taco in a wrap, it's usually kept together with like refried beans.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like the refried beans somehow would mesh so much better in the little crevices of a waffle, which makes me say waffle.
Okay.
Waffle,
Cool.
definitely.
Some people just like make sure that syrup is in every crevice of the waffle ridges. However, you would like rice in every crevice of the waffle ridge.
I would. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Rice is where it's at.
I mean, I feel like if you're gonna go carb, then let's carb it out. Like,
Yeah. All the way. Let's go all the way.
all the way in. Just
Yeah.
do it.
Just do it. And with that, our interview is over. Thank you so much, Tonya, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to be asked. It was so nice to be on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're awesome, incredible. I'm so happy that we were able to meet and I got to be introduced to some of your funny material because it's super funny. Everyone, make sure to check out Tonya on her Twitter and Instagram and keep an eye out for her podcast, which is going to be awesome and it's going to give you so much relief exactly when you need it. My name is Angelica. You're watching Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. While you're here, make sure to subscribe to see other amazing people talk about the arts and what they do and how they got there. Make sure to also follow us on Instagram and on Facebook and check out some of our improv classes so you can just do it as well. Thank you, Tonya, for that tagline. What?
Totally original. Made it up.
Totally original, not sponsored by Nike. And make sure to check out our podcast. This is Legends of Yesterday, where we talk about histories, mysteries, and ghost stories that happen in Florida. So you have something to do in the dark as well. I hope everyone has a happy Tuesday. Goodbye.